Hello, YouTubers. Today I'm going to give you my top 15 recommendations for Android applications. All these applications, by the way, are probably or likely available through Apple Store as well. To start off, Google Maps. That's one of the most used ones that we have. I use this as a backup for my Garmin. It works out rather well. Uh, Nice way to kind of double check and just to see what works out best for you, and to double check your Garmin route as well. Sometimes as I'm driving, I'll be following my Garmin, and I'll have my wife Marilyn check her GP or her Google Maps just to see if they jive and there's not any conflictions. From time to time, one or the other may get an issue, and so this is a good way to kind of check on that. Okay, now my next one that I have that I use, and this is probably one of the most popular ones, especially when I'm en route from one point to another and I'm looking for some overnight stays. RV parking. That one is great. We use this quite a bit for locating casinos and uh, Cracker Barrels, Cabela's, Walmarts. It'll give you a pretty good idea. Let me type in here. Let's just say we'll do Dayton, Ohio. And now, right now, I've got it checked for Cracker Barrels only because I was just kind of giving somebody some recommendations. But you can expand or zoom out on your on the map to get a good look at what's out there. Let's see, Dayton, Ohio. And this isn't totally right because I know there's a couple over there that I can use, but here in Cincinnati, here it'll say five, for instance, the Cracker Barrel on I-71 exit 100 gives it 5 stars. That's only 2 reviews. It does say right on the front, overnight parking, and then it'll give you, it allows you to get directions where you can actually just hit directions and it'll go right to your Google Maps and give you the true direct, tell you how to get there. And also gives you ratings and allows you to provide your own review as well. Another thing you can do with this is it's got a filter available on it. And with the filter, I can select only stores. And then this one's going to tell me casinos, Walmarts, Cabela's, Cracker Barrels. Also lets you kind of go back in there and you can modify that. Select RV parks, public parks, military RV parks, adult over 55, KOAs, Jellystones, casinos, so on and so forth. So it gives you an awful lot of um, flexibility where you can put in your own specific preferences. I've already got mine set in there. If I'm in an area where I think there's only going to be Cracker Barrels, I selected. I got one for Cracker Barrels. I've got one for uh, again Walmart's, Cabela's, and Cracker Barrels. I've got some parks. I also have some stores, which would be like um, Love's, Rest Stops, Transit America, that sort of thing. So it depends on what you're looking for, but it makes it a lot easier. So that way, when you go back to your map, it's just not over cluttered with a lot of other things into it. And so now, one of the things I did notice is during the last update that they had, Cracker Barrels that I know that we could stay at. In fact, we were at there at the same time, and I was talking to the manager where they had quite um, uh, ex- quite a bit of use where that particular Cracker Barrel was popular. Uh, they said that they were more than welcome. However, during the update, it said that they weren't available, and so you've got to hit that the description on it. Even though that might say overnight, no overnight parking, you got to hit that just to make sure and check the reviews, because a lot of times you're going to find it contradicts it. So, and that's just one thing with the RV parking. But this is probably one of my favorite ones. Camp and RV, that one is another good one. That one will also tell you where you can do dumps, where LP is available, where service stations available. Um, so it's quite a nice little one I have as well. I don't use it that much, but when I have used it, I found it to be very reliable. Another one that I use is free campsites. Now, I haven't used this very much, but this is quite would be quite popular, especially if you're out west, and like if you're looking for BLM lands. And so again, you can put your settings into it, and it'll tell you, like for instance, if it's got a little green mark, it's going to be free. If it's red, it's pay. If it's blue, it'll say it needs a permit. And then uh, if it's yellow, you might have to check it out first because they don't really know. So, okay, moving on. This one here, Google Earth. Now, where I use Google Earth is, case in point, we had a very good friend of ours that we were staying near, and they wanted to meet us for breakfast. And so what I did is I checked the location where they wanted to meet at just to see if there was adequate parking, and I found there wasn't. And so it's a good way to double check just to see if you can get your rig around there. So that's where I use Google Earth most of the time. As I said, the first 5 apps are probably the ones that I use the most often. Again, Google Maps, RV Parky, Camp and RV, free campsites, and Google Earth. Those seem to be the ones that I kind of rely on the most when I'm on the road. The next one that I have that I use would be, let me get back to that a minute, there we go, would be the KOA. Um, since I do use KOA from time to time, it's quite handy to check out the campground. It also gives you an opportunity to actually look for one in the area, and you can not only look for the campground, but you can make your reservations, check the rates, that sort of thing. Even has pictures of what the campgrounds look like. It also will hold your membership number, and makes it easy to set up your travel plans. Next one after that would be the Good Sam. I've used that frequently from time to time. That particular also does the same as with the KOA. You just simply just put in where you want to go or what area. Uh, Case in point, this is the Jolly Roger RV Resort. It's down in Marathon, Florida, or in the Keys. This one's a little bit more easy to read and easy to follow. Pictures are all right there. It kind of gives you an idea of what's at the campsite or at the campground, gets you an idea of what the campground looks like as well. You'll have your ratings on the bottom. You can get a virtual tour, get a park map, tells you what's available around the area, and even gives you a chance to book your site. This app also does maintain your membership number, so you get your discounts as soon as you go ahead and you book it. The Good Sam roadside, that's one that I used just this last January or December when I was traveling down south. And this particular one has all your information handy for you. If you do run into an issue such as a flat or a blowout, on your RV, you can contact Good Sam through this and make arrangements to get roadside service. My pilot's quite is used basically just for the My Pilot gas stations. I don't use this one very much, but it's one that I have on hand because I do see the Pilot gas stations on the road, or while I am on the road, or when I'm traveling. Another one would be Love's, and this one I have used. This one is especially handy if I want to check to see if they have a dump station. I did use this when we were down in the Fort Myers area, and again, I just simply tap that location and bring up the information. It gives me not only the current gas prices, but it tells you what services are available. And this one, does also have dump stations or dump available. So showers and as well as a mechanic on duty, a scale, and bulk propane. The ones we'd probably take more advantage of would be the gas, bulk propane, and the RV dump service. That particular dump station, it's a $10. You basically just go into the cashier, pay your $10, and come back out. Quite often, what they'll do is they'll have it locked up, but in busy times, they might not even have it locked, and so it's more on the honor system. Would tell you in advance, though, as a little footnote, to make sure that you either have two people helping you on that dump, or else you've got something to lay that dump or that sewer hose on to keep it on a steady uh, slope so you can drain properly. It does have about a 6-inch border going all the way around it, and then that dump site actually is raised up, so it gets to be a little bit cumbersome if just one person's trying to use the dump. But also, pilot or your um, Love's gas stations or service centers do seem to be the most easy or accessible, especially if you're pulling a large rig or a trailer. I've found that some of them are kind of hard to get in and out of, and so Love seemed to be a little bit easier than some of the other ones, especially in comparison to your standard name brand. These truck sites seem to work a little bit better when you're trying to pull a large rig. If you're just looking for a dump site, the next app I have, and this is one that I'd say is probably number 11 out of my preferred ones, and that's going to be RV dump sites. You simply just type in your location where you're going to be at or what area you're in, and I'll just hit Florida, for instance, and it'll bring up where your locations are, and it'll also tell you whether or not you've got a free dump, if it's pay, if it's only for guest only. Case in point would be like a campground, and then if there's no information, but it is a reported dump site. So you'll probably find most of your free dump sites are going to be in areas such as rest stops. I believe in Alabama and Georgia, there's a few of them in those, and even Florida might have a few. Makes it quite nice just to dump your tanks while you're en route and you've been doing a lot of boondocking. Another one would be Cabela's. I'll just back up a little bit. I'm sorry, Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, I usually look for a Cracker Barrel location uh, basically just through RV Parky. I'll use that one before I use the Cracker Barrel app. But the Cracker Barrel app will give you a little bit more information quite often. It just allows you to place orders online and to just check out, see what their menu is after you've gotten there. Cabela's is basically the same sort of thing, gives you store locations. So if you're not using the RV Parky or you're having some issues with that app, the Cabela will tell you where the Cabela's are in your area. The Weather Channel, this one, even though it's about the 14th one on my list, this is probably my most frequently used app that I've got on my whole phone. This is something that I use just to check my weather. It kind of makes things convenient if you're trying to plan your trip. I'll constantly check it before I leave the Michigan area just to see what my weather conditions are going to be like when I leave. And also I want to see what the weather conditions are on each destination stop that I plan on making. Goes without saying, everybody seems to know quite a bit about the Weather Channel app, but it is probably one of the more popular ones. It gives me the daily, hourly, and as much as, and even the present day. The last one is one that I've made up my own, but this one is ideal for the new RV traveler, and that would be an RV checklist. This is one that helps you kind of dot the I's and cross the T's. You'll have it. You've got a checklist for departure. You've got one for arrival and setup. You've got one for camp preparation, and one for just inspecting on the RV. If nothing else, you can use this as a reference for making up your own checklist. I did make up my own checklist for both inside and outside the RV and found that to be rather helpful, especially when I'm trying to get used to and get comfortable for my preparations. I've also found that if I haven't used a checklist, and this goes way back to my earlier military days when I did use a checklist for just about every task that we had to use, that it prevents me from making mistakes. There's been times that some people will leave and they'll have their antenna up for their TV. I have done that. I have not ever left with the slide out, but I actually, believe it or not, have seen that. So these checklists are rather convenient, and it allows you to customize it to your own specifications. For instance, if you're not going to if you're not going to have items on the bathroom sink, well, you don't have to check that off. If you don't have items in the shower, you don't have to check that off. If you do check it, what it'll do is it'll put that in your list for you. It basically kind of covers, like I said, all bases. And so, and especially when you're new and until you really develop a habit of the items that you want to check, this is going to be quite valuable for you. So I hope this kind of helps you out. This is basically all I really have. There are a lot more apps out there, and I'm sure there's going to be other people or other creators out there that's going to tell you, well, this is the ones that work for them, and I'm just giving my own 2 cents and telling you which ones seem to work for me. So I hope this helped you, and if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And most of all, thanks for watching.